press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, welcome back to your English class. Today we are going to take another lesson and understand a beautiful story of two boys. Now this is titled Two Gentlemen of Verona by A.J. Cronin. Our author A.J. Cronin. I want you to open page 101 for the lesson Two Gentlemen of Verona. Now, here's a small story of two boys who are very hardworking. In the end of the story, we are going to know why they are termed as gentlemen. Okay? Now, Verona is a place there in Italy, so that's in the background of the Second World War. I'm going to tell you what's written on the board, but before that, I would like to give you a certain introduction. Why they are termed as gentlemen, we will see as we move forward into the story. But what I want you to know is two young boys who are fighting for something and they are really working hard in order to achieve what they want. Let us know a little about the author and then move forward into knowing the characters as well as the background of the story, and then move forward into knowing the story line by line. Our author, Archibald Joseph Cronin, he was born on the 19th of July 1896, okay? And then he died in Scotland on 6th of January 1981. Now he was a Scottish novelist, okay? Before he took into the career of writing, he was a medical practitioner in Wales and London. He was a medical practitioner. After that, something struck him and then he took into the career of writing. Now, he had a certain kind of illness, and while he was recovering from it, he started writing his first novel, Hatter's Castle. Now, with the popularity that he got in his novel, he chose to leave his medical profession and get into a full-time career of writing. Then he went on to write The Spanish Gardener. That is one of his most important and notable works that is there. Here he has written another short story, Two Gentlemen of Verona. All right, then he has written a lot of things relating to society which have a realism, a lot of reality into the stories that he has to tell us. So everything from a part, he has won a lot of readers from around the world, and he has been famous for what he has written. Now, we'll go into the title and understand what is exactly the title and where is it adapted from. Now, while A.J. Cronin, Archibald Joseph Cronin, was visiting Verona, after he visited Verona, he wanted to write about that place. Now, this title is inspired from William Shakespeare's play, The Two Gentlemen of Verona. Two Gentlemen of Verona. Okay, Shakespeare has been a very popular writer, a dramatist, okay, a playwright. It's inspired from that play of Shakespeare, Two Gentlemen of Verona. So the title is picked up. Now, Verona is mostly mentioned in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet and other plays alike. So this was something that Cronin also adapted from what Shakespeare had written. Now, in this story, what do we get as a main idea or a main value that is of hard work, of things that these boys value for hard work and other perseverance, their determination to do something. All right? Now, here there is an emotion of humanity. Lot of values which are keeping man on a higher position. Humanity is valued a lot. Who shows that humanity? How much of humanity people have? Who are those characters? I'll tell you in a while. Just give me some time. All right. So there's a lot of courage. There's a lot of discipline, determination in the characters that are there. Alright, now let me introduce you to the characters of Two Gentlemen of Verona. Now the characters in Shakespeare's Two Gentlemen of Verona are different from the characters here. Don't mix them up, only the title is adapted from Shakespeare's Two Gentlemen of Verona, okay. Now, if you get a chance, I want you to read Shakespeare's play Two Gentlemen of Verona. It's beautiful. Alright. Now this story of ours is set in Verona, Italy, and it is in the backdrop of the Second World War. So Second World War is just, the characters are involved there, and then it's after effects of the World War also. The characters are like this: two boys, brothers, Nicola and Jacopo. Okay, this is O. Alright. Nicola, 13, and Jacopo is 12 years old. And their sister, Lucia. Alright, it's their sister, Lucia. Then there is a nurse, there is the narrator and his companion. The narrator is different, his companion is different, and the narrator's driver, Luigi. Okay, narrator's driver, who is Luigi. So let me tell the characters again. Nicola, 13 years old. Jacopo is 12 years. Their sister is Lucia. There is a nurse, narrator and his companion along with their driver, Luigi. So these are the characters. Basically, I want you to understand where it is set, what is the backdrop, and the characters. You must be familiar in order to understand the story. So let's move on. Follow your copies on page 101. Okay. Alright. Now before that, I pose a question to you. What do you think of people who are called as gentlemen? Who are called as gentlemen? People who are virtuous, people who have a lot of manners, good manners, well-mannered, well-behaved, well-disciplined, and who possess a certain personality traits, isn't it? We say he's a gentleman. Otherwise, we say ladies and gentlemen. We refer to them as well-mannered audience. So here we will understand it in the end of the story why it is titled like that. Alright, let's begin. Two Gentlemen of Verona, A.J. Cronin. As we drew through the foothills, now this is the narration of the narrator. You must understand the narrator is telling us a story. As we drove through the foothills of the Alps, two small boys stopped us on the outskirts of Verona. So they were going on the Alps, the mountain there, and two boys, as they were just a little ahead of that city in Verona, outskirts, okay, a little away from the city, two boys stopped the narrator. They were selling wild strawberries, bright scarlet berries that looked delicious against the dark green leaves lining the wicker basket. Alright, so what were these two boys doing? I have already introduced to you characters, so that's Nicola and Jacopo who are there as two boys then. They were selling strawberries. Scarlet berries are, they are a form of berries which have both tastes, sweet and bitter, okay, both taste equally, just like you eat gooseberry, okay, gooseberry, amla, gooseberry, and you get two different tastes, okay, two different tastes. It's a little sour, it's a little sweet afterwards. Same thing, these scarlet berries are bitter and sweet. Okay, bitter is not sour, bitter and sweet is different. Sour and sweet is different. Scarlet berries that looked delicious, very tasty, against the dark green leaves lining the wicker basket. That is, in the basket they have kept it, and there are berries, strawberries, scarlet berries kept, and their leaves are lining the basket. Okay, the picture is not given clearly, but you understand, on the edge of the basket the leaves, dark green leaves are showing up, and this is very beautiful to see. Okay, we'll move on. Don't buy, warned Luigi. Who is Luigi? A cautious driver, the narrator's driver. You will get fruit much better in Verona. He said, let's wait till we get to Verona, you'll get much better fruit there. Besides these boys, he shrugged his shoulders to convey his disapproval of their shabby appearance. Okay, he did like this, shrugged his shoulders. The driver didn't like it. The driver didn't want the narrator to buy the fruits from the boys, and he said, we'll go to Verona and we'll wait till we reach Verona and you can get better fruits there. So the driver, Luigi, was not in approval of the narrator taking or buying fruits from the boys, because those boys were not neatly dressed because of their shabby appearance. Okay, not neatly dressed. Here and there, torn clothes maybe, not neatly presented themselves. One boy had on a worn jersey and cut off khaki pants. So one boy had worn a jersey like shirt, cut off khaki pants, short, half pants, okay, khaki color pants. The other a shortened army tunic gathered in loose folds about his skinny frame. Tunic is garment, okay, tunic is garment. Then he had worn a short army-like garment which was in loose folds, not a very tight and a fitting shirt, but in loose folds about his skinny frame. He was very skinny, he was a very thin boy, and he had a very loose shirt on him, alright. Yet, gazing at the two little figures with their brown skins, tangled hair and dark earnest eyes, we felt ourselves strangely attracted. So the narrator says, there were two small little figures, two small boys. They had brown skins, okay, brown skin, tangled hair. Tangled is sometimes getting knots together. Now for girls, if your hairs are long, if you sleep and wake up, you get tangles. Boys don't rarely get it, but tangle, have you seen if you keep too many ropes together and it just gets tangled and twisted together, okay, tangled. So the hair was tangled like that, maybe long hair a little. Dark earnest eyes, beautiful shining eyes. And we felt ourselves strangely attracted. So the narrator got attracted to this beautiful appearance of theirs. Even they were shabbily dressed, he liked their appearance of this tangled hair, the eyes that were there, their skin, and two little boys that were there. My companion spoke to the boys, discovered that they were brothers. So the narrator's companion, is what I told you, has spoken to the boys now and realized that these two boys, these two little figures are brothers, siblings. Nicola, the elder, was 13. Okay, that's what I've written down for you. Nicola, the elder one, was 13. Jacopo, who barely came up to the door handle of the car, was 12. Okay. Now Jacopo, he didn't come up, he was not very tall, a 12-year-old boy, he didn't even come up to the handle of the car, okay, he was 12 years old. We bought their biggest basket, then set off toward town. So whichever basket was the biggest among all the baskets there, they bought them, okay, they gave them money, they bought them, and then they left to the town. Verona is a lovely city, rich in history, with quiet medieval streets and splendid buildings of an exquisite pale honey color. Okay? Now Verona is a lovely city. If you read William Shakespeare, you'll have Romeo and Juliet next year, and it's wonderful to learn Romeo and Juliet. Okay? Wait till your next year. And there is a description of Verona. Shakespeare's plays are descriptions. You have beautiful descriptions of Verona. If you get a chance, please read or wait for Romeo and Juliet in the next year. Verona is a lovely city. It's rich in history, lot of heritage, lot of people and lot of explorations that have happened. With quiet medieval streets, okay, old ancient streets, very quiet and peaceful place. Splendid, it is grand, too many grand buildings. Of an exquisite pale honey color. Pale honey color, not very dark honey color, but not that we have, what's a honey color? A little goldenish brown, something like that. This was very pale color like, okay, not too dark. Exquisite is extremely beautiful, too much, okay. All right. beautiful and delicate pieces that are there. So this was a description of the beautiful city of Verona. Romeo and Juliet are reputed to have lived here because Shakespeare gives a reference to Romeo and Juliet staying, he says, two families of Verona, the Montagues and the Capulets is what description is given by Shakespeare in Romeo and Juliet. So there lies their story. Here they have given a reference to how Romeo and Juliet and their story revolved around here in Verona. Bombed in the recent war, it had lost its bridges but not gaiety or charm. So the World War had just happened and it was bombed already. So a lot of harm and destruction already, but this city, even though it had lost its buildings, its bridges and so many other things, it had not lost its gaiety or charm. Gaiety is cheerfulness, okay, gaiety or charm. Next morning, coming out of our hotel, we drew up short. So this is, that's the first day of their arrival. Now this is the next day. They just came out of their hotel and they had just gone for they came out to see. Their bent over shoe shine boxes beside the fountain in the public square, doing a brisk business were our two young friends of the previous afternoon. Now what did the narrator and the companion see as they came out of their hotel? There were two boys who were shining shoes. Now if you go to places like Bombay, okay, you will find people shining other shoes. But here in our localities or in our places, here in Karnataka, not much of shoe shining business is done, but if you go to Maharashtra and other places, they do this, okay. So these boys, they were shoe shining. If you see the English pictures, old English pictures, you will find one of the other people, somebody is selling flowers there, somebody is shoe shining, okay. If you get a chance, watch some of the old English films. So these two boys, they were bent over, that is, they were fully concentrating on what they had to do. Brisk is not very hard, but we do a brisk walk, isn't it? A short, a confined walk that is there, not too tiring or not too far away as such, okay. So these boys were shoe shining beside the fountain in a public square. There was a fountain in the public junction. They were sitting beside that and shining their shoes. A brisk business, a little business, not too much of hard work. Our two friends of the previous afternoon. That is, these two boys whom they had met in the previous afternoon, they met them again the next or the coming morning. We watched for a few moments, then as trade slackened, we went over. So for a few moments they saw those boys, and then when these boys started getting a lot of business, then the narrator and his companion walked away. Before they walked away, they said this. They greeted us with friendly faces. So these two boys, they gave a good smile and then they greeted these people. I thought you picked fruit for a living, I said. The narrator said, I thought you're selling fruits to make a living. So, we do many things, sir, Nicola answered seriously. He said, we do many things, not only selling fruits. This is the second thing that you're seeing. I want you to give your concentration on the different kinds of jobs these boys do. In the end of the story, you will know why do they do, but now I want you to keep in mind the first business they did was of selling fruits. The second business they are doing is of shoe shining. He glanced at us hopefully. Often we show visitors through the town to Juliet's tomb and other places of interest. All right. So they looked at the narrator and his companion with a lot of hope, and then they said, we do show visitors, we act like tour guides to the visitors who come to our city. So we take people around also. Then he said, we take to Juliet's tomb and many other places which can be a part of your interest. All right, I smiled. You take us along. So the narrator said, all right, take us also along with you and show us the beautiful city of Verona. As we made the rounds, my interest was again provoked by their remarkable demeanor. Okay. Demeanor. Now demeanor is attitude. Okay. If you cannot pronounce, split the words. Demeanor. As we made the round, so as they were going the round, as they were moving around in the city, the interest of the narrator was again, he got a lot of curiosity by their determination or by their demeanor, that is a lot of attitude that they had towards whatever they did. Now there is always a good attitude and a bad attitude. Attitude is needed. Okay, you must always carry yourself with attitude, but the right attitude. So these children had a lot of good demeanor. Okay, demeanor is attitude that they had towards whatever kind of business they were doing. All right, we'll move on. They were childish enough and in many ways quite artless. Artless is natural. He is an artless man. Natural, not heartless. Okay, artless. Natural, a simple being. He is a nice artless man. All right, nice and simple, quiet. So these two boys were also of that attitude, and their ways may be childish. They are just 13 and 12. Okay, one is just entered teenage, 13. One is just going to enter the teenage. So very young boys. They were very natural and simple in whatever they did. All right. Jacopo, although his lips were paler than they should have been, was lively as a squirrel. Now his lips that were there were very paler, not very dark, okay, light color, pale color, okay, light in color, than they should have been, was lively as a squirrel. Now if you have seen the squirrel, it keeps on jumping here and there. This boy, Jacopo, our younger fellow, was very lively, very enthusiastic, okay, full of joy, full of charm, very cheerful person. All right. Nicola's smile was steady and engaging. So that boy kept on smiling and smiling, that his smile was so beautiful, you could not take your eyes off it, and it was very engaging. You could always keep a conversation with him. See, some people have beautiful smiles. You can continuously look at them, you'll never get bored of their smile because their smile keeps you engaging. Okay, here our Nicola's smile was so beautiful that nobody could take their eyes off, and whatever he said it with a smile. Steady, he was very peaceful, okay, to the mark, to the point, and engaging, or a hospitable smile. Yet in both those boys, these boyish faces, there was a seriousness which one respected, an air of purpose far beyond their years. Now, what does the narrator has to say to us? Though these boys looked childish, or though these boys looked in a way that they were engaging, or they had beautiful smiles, looked boyish, so their faces may not have been of a matured man, but whatever they did, they have to be respected for that kind of a work. And they were far more mature than their age. You see, some children take on responsibilities very early, and even though they look small, they know everything because life has hit them hard. Life has taught them so many things that experience makes you so mature that when you are of 20, 21, all those previous things which children of your age are doing is like a cakewalk. Okay, they can simply do it, anything for that matter. Our boys here, Nicola and Jacopo, were also like this. Whatever kind of work they did it with a lot of seriousness. And for that seriousness, you must respect them for what they did. Okay. In the week which followed, we saw them frequently, for they proved extremely useful to us. So the whole week that the narrator and his companion were there, they were very useful to them. That is a lot of help was generated from these two boys to the narrator and his companion. If you wanted a pack of American cigarettes or seats for the opera or the name of a good restaurant that could provide good ravioli, okay? Yes. Nicola and Jacoba could be relied upon to satisfy our needs with their usual cheerful competence. Alright, now how were these boys useful to them? If they needed a packet of American cigarettes, okay? Secrets are different, cigarettes. If they needed American cigarettes or they needed a seat for an opera. Now opera is like a dramatized work where there is songs, okay, where there are acts that are done like a different form of a theater, all right, or in the name of a good restaurant that could provide good ravioli. These two boys could be relied upon so that they can satisfy all their needs for cigarettes, for opera, for good food. Ravioli is a pasta like, okay, small pasta like, which has meat, fish, cheese, vegetables mixed together, minced meat, okay, minced meat, fish, all vegetables, cheese mixed together, ravioli, pasta. Nicola and Jacoba could be relied, so whatever they wanted to know about the city, they could ask Nicola and Jacoba, and they would do with their cheerfulness and were always ready to help. Okay. What struck one most was their unremitting willingness to work. Okay, unremitting is never relaxing, never wanted to stop. Have you seen some people who can work around the clock, not tired at all? They can show the same cheerfulness that they showed in the morning. The same smile will be there on their face in the evening. How do they manage to do that? You must ask those kind of people. They will have the same attitude the whole day. Okay. So here are boys. Their life was in such a way, or their attitude was in such a way that they were never willing to relax, but they always wanted to work. Their willingness was always to work. Now these summer days, okay, during these summer days under the hot sun and in the long evenings when the air blew chill from the mountains, they shined shoes, sold fruit, hawked newspapers, conducted tourists around the town, ran errands, exploited every avenue which the troubled economy of the town left open to them. Now, what these boys were trying to do is something of interest to us. Now, I want you to know what these boys were really trying to do. See, during these summer days that are there, all right, during the summer days when the sun was too hot, and when the evenings have been long, there is a lot of breeze blowing from the mountains, okay, air blew chill from the mountain, very cold breeze that is moving. See, I want you to mark this, the kind of work that they did. They shined shoes, okay, shoes shining. They sold fruits, okay. Hawked newspapers they sell. Hawkers we say, isn't it? Hawked newspapers, sell newspapers. Conducted tourists around the town, so as to act as a tour guides to people. Ran errands. Errands are short journey. Okay, ran errands. Exploited every avenue which the troubled economy of the town left open to them. Now what did they do? They put their hands into each and every kind of business which the town had failed to do, or their economy of the town was so troubled that every person had to find different means of income. Okay, so whatever the town had left open to them, whatever kind of business the town had accepted them to do, they did all of them. One night we came upon them in the windy and deserted square, resting on the stone pavement beneath the pale arc lights. So one evening, it was very windy, there's a lot of breeze, and in a deserted square, nobody was there. They were resting on the stone pavement, okay, a footpath there, beneath the pale arc lights, like street lights. They were very pale, and these people, these two boys, were lying down there, taking rest on the pavement, the footpath. Nicola sat upright, his face drawn by fatigue. Fatigue is tiredness. So Nicola sat straight, but his face looked too tired. A bundle of unsold newspapers lay at his feet, while Jacopo, his head pillowed upon his brother's shoulders, was asleep. It was nearly midnight. So now what had happened here? They had a bundle of newspapers which they were yet to sell, not yet sold, okay, unsold, was near his feet. And Jacopo, the little one, had kept his head on his brother's shoulders, on Nicola's shoulders, and was asleep. It was already midnight. Why are you out so late, Nicola? He had started sharply as I spoke, but now he gave me his quiet, independent glance. Earlier, those two boys had a lot of energy, were very cheerful. Now, Nicola just looked up at that man. Waiting for the last bus from Padua. We shall sell all our papers when it comes in. So they had to go to Padua from that place wherever they were, and there they used to sell their papers. So they are waiting for the last bus so that they can reach Padua. When they reach, it will be early in the morning, and then they can sell their newspapers and come back. Must you keep at it so hard? You both look rather tired. So the narrator says, why are you working so hard? Why are you trying all these means of work? You look very tired. You look very pale. We are not complaining, sir. He said, we are not complaining about our work. I am not just saying we are tired or something. We are not complaining. We are not doing anything. His tone, while perfectly polite, discouraged further inquiry. So he was very polite and said, we are not complaining, sir. His tone was in such a way that he was very polite and wanted the narrator not to ask him any more questions. So he, discouraged further inquiry about whatever these boys were trying to do. But next morning, when I went over to the fountain to have my shoes shined, so the next morning is the third morning that the narrator has gone to shine his shoes to these boys. I said, Nicola, the way you and Jacoba work, you must earn quite a bit. He said, the way you two boys are working, you must at least earn something, okay, quite a bit. You spend nothing on clothes. He said, when you earn this much, you don't spend anything on your clothes. Why? You eat little enough. You eat very little. When I see you having a meal, it's usually black bread and figs. So the narrator says, whenever I see you eating, you're eating black bread and figs. Tell me, what do you do with your money? He says, I'm very curious to know what you do with the money out of all the business that you do. He colored deeply under his sunburn, then grew pale. His gaze fell to the ground. Okay? He felt very sad at that question of what do they do with their money, and he grew very pale. Okay? His face was let down, and then he looked down to the ground. His gaze, that is his eyes, or his eyesight fell to the ground. You must be saving up to immigrate to America, I suggested. The narrator said, you must be saving money to go to America. He looked at me sideways, spoke with an effort. So he was looking down, he looked at sideways, and he was not that cheerful now when he was answering this question. With a lot of effort, he spoke. We should greatly like to go to the States, but here at present, we have other plans. He said, very well, we would like to go to America, but here in the city of Verona, we have some other plan. What plans? He smiled uncomfortably with that remote air which never failed to baffle me. Okay, the narrator was surprised and asked, what plans do you have? Our boy was uncomfortable with telling him something. Okay, and his atmosphere that was covered actually surprised. Baffle is puzzled or surprised the narrator. Just plans, sir, he answered in a low voice. He said, just plans, sir. That means to say, mind your own business, okay, just plans, sir. You don't want to answer further. Well, I said, we are leaving on Monday. Is there anything I can do for you before we go? So the narrator says, on the coming Monday we are leaving from here. Do you need any favor from us? Nicola shook his head, but suddenly Jacopo's nostril quivered like a puppy's and he piped up eagerly. So Jacopo was speaking Nicola was speaking all the time. Nicola shook his head, but Jacopo just sat up and his nostrils all straightened up, okay, quivered is tremble, shake, like a puppy's, and he piped up, he got up eagerly. Sir, he burst out. Nicola didn't want to ask any favor, but Jacopo asked the favor. Every Sunday, we make a visit to the country to Poleta, 30 kilometers from here. Usually we hire bicycles, but tomorrow, since you're so kind, you might send us in your car. You might send us in your car. So Jacopo says, every Sunday we go to Poleta, which is 30 kilometers from this city, but we take the bicycles, we hire or we rent them every time. But tomorrow, since you have been very grateful to us, can you send us your car to go till there? I had already told Luigi he might have the Sunday off. So the narrator says, I've told my driver to take a Sunday off. However, I answered, I'll drive you out myself. So the narrator says, no problem, even if my driver is at rest, I can drive and take you. There was a pause. Nicola was glaring at his brother, young brother, in vexation. So Nicola didn't like that favor that he asked, so he's looking at his brother now. We could not think of troubling you, sir. So these boys say, we don't want to trouble you if your driver is not there. No problem. It won't be any trouble. He bit his lip, then in a rather put out his tone, he said, very well. He said, it's not a trouble, no problem, I can take you. Alright. The following afternoon, we drove to a tiny picturesque village set upon the hillside amidst sheltering chestnut groves with a few pines on the upper slopes and a deep blue lake beneath. Alright, now they have moved to Poleta on Sunday. It's the afternoon they are traveling, they are driving there. Tiny picturesque. Picturesque is a place or a building that is something that is visually very attractive. Okay? Village set upon the hillside. Now they have gone to a village which is on the hillside, on the top of the hill, amidst sheltering chestnut groves. Chestnut are nuts like, okay, groves with a few pines on the upper slope and a deep blue lake beneath. So these nuts are there, pine trees are there on these slopes that you are going to the hill and a deep blue lake beneath. So there is a lake also beneath. Okay. I imagine that our destinations would be some humble dwelling. So the narrator thinks these boys have taken him to a very beautiful place and it's going to be a very simple and a nice journey or a nice destination that these boys have taken him to Poleta. Alright, I want to stop at this. We will see in the next class where these boys have taken the narrator, what happens in that place, or is this a picnic like, or is this something else? Wait for the next class. If you are interested, you could read it. I appreciate it. Alright, we will stop at this and we will continue in the coming class and understand the story better of what our two boys would like to do with the narrator on a Sunday afternoon. Okay, thank you very much for listening.